Some ranches cost tens of millions of dollars, but barely make any money from cattle. That sounds impossible. You see thousands of acres of land, hundreds of cows, expensive machinery, workers on horseback. From the outside, it looks like an agricultural empire. But in a good year, a ranch worth $10 million might earn less from cattle than a small apartment building. In a bad year, it can lose hundreds of thousands. And yet some of the wealthiest people in America keep buying ranches. Media billionaires, technology founders, professional sports owners, investors who understand money better than almost anyone else. So why would they put millions into a business with unpredictable revenue, enormous expenses, and profit margins that can disappear after one dry summer? Because they are not really buying cows. They are buying land. The cattle are often there to generate some cash, maintain the property, and preserve its agricultural status. But the real value lies somewhere else, in privacy, tax treatment, hunting rights, tourism, scarcity, and the long-term appreciation of the land itself. By the end of this video, you will understand why cattle ranching can be a terrible business, and why owning the ranch can still make someone extremely wealthy. Before we talk about money, we need to define what a ranch actually is, because the word ranch describes several completely different businesses. A cattle ranch raises animals for beef. A sheep ranch produces meat and wool. A horse ranch breeds, trains, or boards horses. A hunting ranch sells access to wildlife. A guest ranch sells cabins, trail rides, meals, fishing, and the experience of living like a cowboy for a few days. And a luxury recreational ranch may produce almost nothing agriculturally. Its real products are privacy, scenery, prestige, and a private address surrounded by thousands of acres. These properties may look similar. They all have land, fences, barns, roads, animals. But financially, they have very little in common. A guest ranch operates more like a hotel. A hunting ranch earns money from exclusive access. A cattle ranch competes in a commodity market. And a billionaire's ranch may function like a long-term wealth storage vehicle. The traditional cattle ranch is the version most people imagine. It is also the model that reveals the central problem. The animals may generate the revenue, but the land consumes most of the capital. The first major expense is not the cattle. It is the land. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, the average value of American pasture land reached approximately $1,920 per acre in 2025. That sounds surprisingly affordable, but a national average hides enormous differences. Remote pasture in a dry part of the country may cost less than $1,000 per acre. A scenic ranch near a wealthy city, mountain resort, or growing development corridor may cost $10,000, $20,000, or even tens of thousands of dollars per acre. The expensive land is not necessarily producing more beef. The buyer may be paying for the view, the location, the road access, the water rights, the possibility of future development, and competition from other wealthy buyers. But cheap land comes with its own trap. Land is often cheap because it is difficult to operate. The grass may be sparse. The climate may be dry. The winters may be long. Water may be limited. The nearest feed supplier, veterinarian, cattle auction, or processing facility may be several hours away. On highly productive pasture, one cow may require only a few acres. On dry western land, the same animal may require 20 acres, 30 acres, or sometimes more. Now imagine you want a serious operation with 500 cows. If every cow requires 20 acres, you need roughly 10,000 acres. At $1,000 per acre, the land alone costs $10 million. And you still have no cattle, no tractors, no trucks, no working fences, and possibly no reliable water system. This is the first lesson of ranch economics. The cheapest land is not always the cheapest ranch. When each cow requires more acreage, the lower price per acre becomes less impressive. Remote land also increases transportation costs. Feed has to travel farther. Animals have to travel farther. Workers may need housing on the property. Equipment repairs take longer. Emergency veterinary care becomes more difficult. You may save money when you buy the land, and then spend that money every year trying to operate it. You found the land. You made the offer. You signed the contract. And now you think you own a ranch. What you actually own is a very large piece of dirt. Before it can produce money, it needs infrastructure. Start with fences. Cattle cannot wander onto public roads or neighboring property. The ranch needs a secure perimeter. It also needs internal fences that divide the property into separate pastures. Those divisions allow cattle to be moved from one area to another, giving the grass time to recover. A large ranch can require many miles of fencing, and fencing is not a one-time expense. Floods wash it away. Trees fall across it. Posts rot. Wire stretches. Animals break through weak sections. Every mile becomes another piece of infrastructure that must be inspected and repaired. Then there is water. Cattle can survive without many things. They cannot survive without a reliable water supply. Some ranches have rivers, ponds, streams, or natural springs. Others depend on deep wells, electric pumps, solar systems, storage tanks, underground pipes, and drinking troughs spread across thousands of acres. A large property may require several independent water systems, and when a pump fails during hot weather, it is not a minor inconvenience. It is an emergency. Then come the livestock facilities. Cattle must be vaccinated, examined, sorted, weighed, treated, and loaded onto trailers. A mature cow can weigh more than 1,000 pounds. You cannot safely manage hundreds of animals with a wooden gate and a piece of rope. A working ranch needs heavy corrals, strong gates, loading areas, and a squeeze chute that can safely hold an animal during treatment. Then you need storage. Hay must remain dry. Machinery must be protected from the weather. Fuel must be stored safely. Roads must remain usable during rain and snow. Workers may need accommodation because the property is too remote for a normal commute. On undeveloped land, the owner may spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, or more than $1 million, before the ranch is ready to produce a single dollar. And none of that spending creates immediate revenue. It only gives you permission to begin. Now you can finally buy the cattle. A commercial herd of several hundred cows can cost more than $1 million. Then you need bulls. A ranch may need roughly 1 bull for every 25 to 30 cows. For a herd of 500 cows, that could mean around 17 to 20 bulls. A normal commercial bull can cost several $1,000s. An animal with strong genetics and documented performance can cost tens of thousands. That price may sound absurd, but genetics affect how quickly the calves gain weight, how healthy they remain, and how valuable they become when sold. Across hundreds of animals, a small improvement in average weight can create a meaningful increase in revenue. But a bull is still a living asset. It can become sick, injure itself, lose fertility, or die. The animal purchased for $30,000 does not come with a warranty. And unlike inventory stored inside a warehouse, livestock eats every day. It needs water every day. It can escape. It can become injured. It can fail to reproduce. It can die before it is ever sold. Then comes the machinery. A ranch needs tractors, heavy-duty pickup trucks, livestock trailers, feeding equipment, utility vehicles, fuel storage, and possibly equipment for producing hay. Many ranches need more than one tractor, because if the only tractor breaks during winter feeding, the cattle cannot wait several weeks for a replacement part. A modern agricultural tractor can cost tens of thousands of dollars. A heavy-duty truck can cost more than some houses. A livestock trailer adds another major expense. Buying everything new can create hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and those payments continue every month, whether cattle prices are high or low. This is the structural problem at the center of ranching. Revenue is seasonal. Expenses are constant. Most cattle ranches receive their largest payment once or twice per year, when the calves are sold. But the bills arrive every day. Feed, fuel, labor, veterinary care, electricity, insurance, property taxes, equipment repairs, fence repairs, water system maintenance, loan payments. The ranch spends money in January, February, March, and every other month. But much of the revenue may not arrive until autumn. Feed is usually the largest operating expense. During the growing season, cattle may graze on pasture. During winter, or during drought, the rancher has to provide hay or other feed. For a large herd, the annual feed bill can reach hundreds of thousands of dollars. And feed prices are not stable. During a dry year, local hay production falls. Every rancher needs more feed at exactly the same time. Supply goes down, demand goes up, prices rise. The rancher then faces two bad choices: buy expensive feed and watch operating costs explode, or sell part of the herd because the land can no longer support it. Selling animals reduces the immediate feed bill, but it also reduces future revenue. Every breeding cow sold today is one less calf produced next year. And after the drought ends, rebuilding the herd may become extremely expensive because every other rancher is trying to buy replacement cattle at the same time. Veterinary costs continue as well. Cattle need vaccinations, pregnancy checks, parasite control, emergency treatment. Some calves are born during storms. Some births require assistance. Some animals develop injuries or infections. Then there is labor. A large ranch is not a one-person business. It may require a manager, experienced ranch hands, mechanics, seasonal workers, and outside veterinarians. The work is physical, dangerous, remote, and impossible to pause. The animals still need care on weekends, holidays, and during the worst weather of the year. So how does the ranch make money? The traditional model sounds simple. A cow becomes pregnant. Around 9 months later, she produces a calf. The calf remains with its mother for several months. Then it is weaned and sold by weight. Imagine a ranch with 500 cows. A strong breeding and survival rate might produce approximately 450 calves for sale. Now, imagine the average sale price across the entire calf crop is around $2,200 per animal. Multiply 450 calves by $2,200, and the ranch generates approximately $990,000, almost $1 million in annual revenue. That sounds like an incredible business, until you look at the expenses: feed, labor, veterinary care, fuel, insurance, taxes, maintenance, equipment depreciation, and administrative costs. Depending on the region and the operation, the total annual cost may approach $900,000 or even exceed $1 million. The ranch producing almost $1 million in revenue may finish the year with only $50,000 or $100,000 in operating profit. It may finish at zero, or it may lose money. Now compare that profit with the original investment. The land, infrastructure, equipment, and livestock may have required $10 million, $15 million, or considerably more. A profit of $100,000 on a $10 million investment is a return of only 1%, and that is during a successful year. This is the hidden reality of commodity cattle ranching. The revenue may look enormous. The profit margin can be remarkably thin, and the owner cannot control the two variables that matter most: the weather and the market price of cattle. Consider two possible years on the same ranch. In the good year, spring rain arrives on time. The grass grows, hay remains affordable, most cows become pregnant, most calves survive, and cattle prices remain strong. The ranch produces more than $1 million in revenue and finishes with a modest operating profit. Now imagine the bad year. A late winter storm kills newborn calves. A dry spring slows the growth of the grass. By the middle of summer, the ranch is already buying hay that was not supposed to be needed until winter. Feed prices rise because every neighboring ranch is facing the same shortage. Then cattle prices weaken before the autumn sale. Revenue falls by several $100,000. Expenses rise above the original budget. The ranch that earned money last year may now lose $300,000 or $400,000. The land is the same. The owner is the same. The workers are the same. The difference was created largely by weather and market timing, two things the owner cannot control. That is why cash reserves matter more than the size of the herd. A rancher does not always fail because the business is permanently unprofitable. Sometimes the rancher fails because two bad years arrive in a row, and the business runs out of cash before conditions improve. When the money disappears, the owner begins selling cattle, then equipment, and eventually, the land. But selling the land means losing the one asset that may have created the greatest long-term wealth. This is why successful ranches rarely depend on cattle alone. The most resilient owners look at the property and ask a different question. What else can this land produce? One answer is hunting access. A ranch may contain deer, turkey, quail, or other desirable wildlife. Hunters may pay for seasonal or annual access. On a large property, hunting leases can generate tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. The rancher does not sell the land. The cattle may remain on the property. The income comes from controlled access to an existing resource. Another source is hay. A ranch with productive grassland or irrigated fields may grow more hay than it needs during a favorable year. That surplus can be sold. During droughts, hay can become more valuable than cattle. Then there is agritourism. Many people want to experience ranch life without accepting the risk, expense, or physical labor of owning one. They will pay for cabins, trail rides, fishing, hunting, meals, campfires, and guided cattle experiences. A ranch with guest accommodation begins operating partly like a hotel. The income may arrive throughout the year, rather than only when the calves are sold. Some ranches also earn money from weddings, corporate events, film productions, renewable energy agreements, mineral rights, or conservation programs. The objective is not necessarily to remove the cattle. It is to build several revenue streams that do not all fail at the same time. When cattle prices fall, tourism may still perform well. When drought reduces the herd, hunting leases may still generate income. When the operating business has a weak year, the land itself may still become more valuable. And that changes the entire financial model. Now the billionaire strategy begins to make sense. Wealthy buyers such as Ted Turner, John Malone, Jeff Bezos, and other major investors have acquired enormous ranch or agricultural properties. They are not buying those properties because selling calves offers extraordinary profits. They are buying them for a combination of reasons. The first is privacy. A ranch covering tens of thousands of acres creates a buffer that almost no luxury home can provide. The main residence may be miles from the nearest public road. The owner may have a private airstrip. Neighbors may be almost invisible. For someone famous or extremely wealthy, the privacy has real value. The second reason is scarcity. Large connected properties are limited. You can build another luxury apartment building. You cannot easily create another 50,000-acre ranch with water, wildlife, mountain views, and legal access. The third reason is diversification. A wealthy investor may already own stocks, companies, bonds, commercial real estate, and private investments. Ranch land is different. It is a physical asset. It may produce food, lease income, timber, minerals, water rights, energy revenue, or tourism income. The fourth reason is tax treatment. Land that qualifies for agricultural use may receive a more favorable property tax valuation than land held primarily for development. The rules vary by state and by property, but in some cases, maintaining a legitimate agricultural operation can reduce the annual cost of holding a very valuable piece of land. The cattle may therefore serve two purposes. They create some revenue and help preserve the agricultural use of the property. Conservation agreements may provide another benefit. A landowner may agree to permanently limit certain forms of development, such as subdivision or large commercial construction, because those restrictions can reduce the market value of the property. The owner may qualify for a significant tax deduction. The exact benefit depends on strict legal, valuation, and eligibility requirements. But for an owner with a large taxable income, the financial effect can be substantial. This is why the economics of a billionaire's ranch are different from those of a family cattle operation. The family rancher needs the cattle to pay the bills. The billionaire may need the cattle only to cover part of the costs, maintain the property, and support a much larger land strategy. Imagine someone buys a ranch for $35 million. The cattle operation produces $150,000 in annual profit. That profit is real, but it is tiny compared with the price of the property. Now imagine the land increases in value by 4%. 4% of $35 million is $1,400,000. The increase in the value of the land is now many times larger than the profit produced by the cattle. That appreciation is not guaranteed. The property may remain flat. It may lose value. Interest, taxes, and maintenance can still create major losses. But a wealthy owner has one enormous advantage: time. A traditional rancher may be forced to sell during a drought. A billionaire may have enough cash to keep the property through several difficult years, and the longer the land is held, the more valuable its scarcity, privacy, and alternative uses may become. So can a ranch make you rich? Yes, but probably not in the way most people imagine. The cows are unlikely to create a fortune quickly, in many years. They may only cover part of the cost of operating the property. The real value comes from everything surrounding them: the land, the privacy, the agricultural status, the hunting rights, the tourism, the conservation opportunities, and the ability to hold a scarce physical asset for decades. That is why billionaires keep buying ranches. On the surface, they are buying cattle businesses. Underneath, they are buying land. The cattle help pay the cost of owning it, but the land is what builds the wealth.